Hi, this is Ran from AVMASTER. Thank you for joining us. And today we have Koen van Belle from BARCO and Richard Marples from BARCO came to tell us about BARCO projectors. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks.
BARCO is the most known projector manufacturer around the world, business for more than 20 years. At least in Israel, when a dumb user is referring to a projector, they say, this BARCO has an issue. Richard, I'm going to start with you. What scenarios today do you think a projector is best choice for?
Okay, that's a good question. Of course, LCD and LED technology has got cheaper, and we see it being used more and more in traditional projection type applications, but certainly there are still a lot of use cases for projectors. Projectors are not dead, and they're not going to disappear. So especially projection is a very scalable technology, so you can use projectors on very large surface areas quite cheaply compared to LCD and LED. So you can use it on very uneven surfaces. So you can project onto all kinds of strange shapes, which is something that you cannot do with either LED or LCD. All of that providing that the ambient brightness is under control. So where LED and LCD really excel is being able to compete against sunlight and bright ambient conditions. Projection can't do that, but it's still a very, very useful technology for doing all kinds of immersive and entertainment type experiences, and we just love projection.
Yeah, it sounds like projectors are here to stay. And why should we choose projectors from BARCO other than other vendors? What is unique with BARCO?
So BARCO has a long history in projection. So BARCO actually stands for the Belgian American Radio Corporation. And we first started out making radios, and then we went on to make jukeboxes and record players, and then televisions. And we got into standards for TV. And we have a lot of experience in format switching and scaling and changing all different kinds of signals, and that really led us into projectors. And we first started making those 3-tube RGB type projectors that you found on the in-flight entertainment on those long distance flights many years ago. And then we got into LCD projectors, and then also DLP projectors when DLP came along. So we have a long, long history in projection and scaling and getting images to look perfect on very large screens. And we've continued to invest in technology a lot. We always want to be at the forefront of technology. So we were one of the first companies to show very bright laser projectors. We were one of the first companies to come out with all different kinds of innovations, and we've proven ourselves as being one of the main suppliers in the cinema industry. So as cinema has gone towards digital, BARCO has been really at the forefront of that, and has got a leading market share in the cinema industry as well. So if it's good enough for Hollywood, then hopefully it's good enough for everybody else as well. And we really try to make the best projectors out there.
Seems like you're doing a good job. And what's new with the F80, the G60, the G100? I'm familiar with those previously. Is there anything new about it?
Well, we just recently added the G100 to our portfolio, and the G series are the workhorse of the projectors, so they can be used in various situations. Wide UHD resolution, and the G100 is now adding brightness up to 20,000, 22,000 even lumen.
Wow.
And then next to the G series, we have the F series, where if the application needs a bit of extra, like special 3D applications, low latency, the high resolution, 4K resolution, low noise, long life, the special applications for a very special customers who want the bit of extra, they can go for the F series. And in this way, we have like the workhorse and the racing horse in our portfolio.
That sounds promising. You mentioned laser technology. Can you elaborate a little bit on BARCO's laser technology?
Yes, absolutely. So BARCO already showed in 2012 a direct laser projector in Galveston, in Moody Gardens, 50,000 lumen. It was the
Wow.
first projector with that type of lumens. In the meantime, we evolved and we acquired all different types of laser sources. So laser phosphor with only blue lasers, with red lasers added, LED, which is also a solid state light source. And what we do is we choose the best technology for the customer and the needs for the customer. So for us, the technology is only helping our customers and is not something we want to come out with. It is if the customers are best with a certain technology, then we use that technology. And we can choose from all the possibilities we have.
Yeah, I agree. And can you tell us about the 4K capabilities? I've noticed that you have several 4Ks
Yes,
resolution that are supported.
yes, yeah. So on 4K, so our F series, they have most of the time a white UXGA and a 4K solution. For the 4K solution, we use the 4K with pixel shifting, which is using a somewhat lower resolution to start from, and then upscale to 4K with the technique of pixel shifting, which is duplicating the images at a double resolution and shifting a pixel over half of the diagonal. So we do this at a double frequency. So for the customer, 60 hertz input is 60 hertz on the screen. But this gives the advantage. And for BARCO specific, we always start with a high resolution chip to create 4K of. So we start from white QXGA, which is already a high resolution, and then we don't need to upscale that much, which offers more details for the customer. And the 4K UHD, we have many solutions where we use warping. And if you have a native 4K next to a 4K UHD projector and you don't warp, then you see that the 4K is still a bit sharper because you have some more pixels directly on the screen. But when you warp both images, then the difference is gone, basically. So with 4K UHD, with that extra capability, you can really show 4K details with a very high resolution on the screen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what about the BARCO SSP that I've seen on your specification pages?
Yes, SSP is what we call single-step processing. And for many, for instance, live events, when you need lip sync. So when the artist is on stage, you don't want the lips doing something different than the visuals. Or for instance, in another occasion, if you have a flight simulator and the pilot turns his stick, you don't want him to turn the stick and then the image coming at a later pace. So the pilot need to be trained in a real life feeling. For this, you need low latency. So this means that when the input image signal is coming into the projector and the processing into the projector onto the screen, you want that time to be as small as possible. And for this simulation applications, we have developed an own technique where we do all manipulations like scaling, warping, blending, making the two images for the pixel shifting. And we know that all these things need to happen on the pixels. So we calculate the new position for every pixel once, and then we show it to the screen. So it's like if you do Photoshop, for every filter you add to the image in sequence, you lose some detail. And if you do the inverse filter, you never come back to the original image. So with this single step processing, we only have one time loss in quality, and it's as quickly as possible onto the screen. So you don't have any lip sync issues or issues with pilots, for instance, or other things like this.
Amazing. And in the short time we still have, can you tell us a little bit about the BARCO management suite? I think it's very important.
Yes, so BARCO Management Suite is a unique feature that we launched not so long ago, whereby we wanted to make projectors also IoT connected, so join the Internet of Things. More and more things are getting connected these days: houses, cars, refrigerators, all kinds of home appliances. And so we thought, well, why not projectors too? It's a way of managing and controlling and monitoring the assets that you have available. And in the end of the day, a projector is just an asset to the company that buys it. So by connecting our projectors, and today it's available on the 3-chip models, the UDM and the UDX, but we will be expanding it to other models as well. Those projectors are connected with either a wired connection or even a wireless GSM connection. So we put a SIM card and a GSM receiver inside the projector that connects it without any special setup and IP addresses and firewalls and things like that to the cloud. We collect the data in the cloud in a very secure environment, and then this is available to the owner or the user of the projector to monitor his equipment. So he can check how many hours the projector has been run. He can check the temperature, the humidity, and various other things as well. He can do fault diagnosis. He can get alerted to problems that there might be coming on the projector, so warning messages. All of this is available in the cloud, enabling the customer to reduce his costs and reduce the amount of time it takes to solve issues, and therefore making him much more efficient in the daily use of his projectors.
Yeah, it sounds very important to enterprises and environments with multiple projectors. Is really good stuff. Do you want to tell us in a few words about some challenging projection environment setup that is unique for projectors and for BARCO?
Sure. Well, one thing which is particularly booming these days are these kinds of digital art gallery destinations. They seem to be multiplying in all corners of the world at the moment. There are more and more Van Gogh or Monet or Klimt experiences in almost every city now, it seems. And one of the more challenging ones that we had was in France, where for the Bassin des Lumières in Bordeaux, which uses an old submarine base. So it's right on the coast, in amongst the water. There's water comes into the museum itself. There's
Wow.
no closed doors. Everything is open. So of course it's a particularly challenging environment, both in terms of temperature. So it goes very low and also very high, and in terms of humidity, and then the nature of the salty air is very challenging. And then to blend together over 100 projectors into a complete seamless canvas to show all of these different types of art was very challenging, and took us to look at different ways of solving the problem by using external environmental boxes to protect the equipment. So yeah, a very challenging environment, but one which turned out to be extremely beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I wish I could be there. Thank you guys and have a good day, and hope to see you soon again.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
It was a pleasure.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.